I'm Turk Strongman. Thank you for selecting this video on the word death. Well, some years ago, I heard a common phrase, war on consciousness. I understand what it means. I certainly do. I decided I don't like the word war. I get what it means. I was in the United States military, assigned to a warship, and it was my job, all of my training, my performance involved firing the guns on a warship, surface warship, firing. I was in weapon firing control. So I understand the word. I understand the function of war. I understand why currently humanity stands in a need of war. I understand how in the world war got this way. An apparent need of war. I understand the need for a society to have a defense set up. You know, a military. I get all that, right? But I don't like the word war. So I did not, for myself, except for very temporarily, at first, adopt that term, that name, war on consciousness. I decided to call it something else. Something actually more descriptive. Consciousness hijacking. Yeah. Stay away from that word war. I mean, it just carries so much baggage with it, that word. All right, so now I just now wrote a description to a video, my latest upload here. My video that introduces my now in progress narration of the book, The Holy Science, by Swami Sri Yukteswar. In the description, I say, what did I say? Here it is. Copyright by Self-Realization Fellowship, 1949, approximately 13 years following Swami Sri Yukteswar's death. And it occurs to me. And it finally really hit me right out in the front here. Right out in the front of my mental burners and gears, you know, like, I don't like the word death anymore. You know, I've had an evolving understanding of what it's talking about, you know, the word death means. And it seemed like the right word for a certain level of understanding, a certain feature of the life cycle. But I don't even like the word anymore. It just carries way too much baggage with it. It's not a feel-good word at all. Now, I'm not into political correctness, for God's sakes, no. The hell with that. I just don't like the word death. I'm not trying to find a nicer way to say it. I just don't really believe in the idea of death. I get what it means, yeah. But I feel like I'm operating at a level of understanding of things in this cosmos, in this manifested cosmos, where I don't really think in those terms anymore myself. I don't like the word death. You know, like the band of the Grateful Dead, I never liked the name of that band. Just because, you know, like even in my early 20s, Grateful Dead, that combination just I didn't like it. Then, you know, I started to I just found the idea of traveling with the dead, loving the dead, listening to the dead. That's the name of the band. It was just, I had trouble coming up with a worse a worse name for a band than that, you know? I mean, there are some really idiotic ones. But the Dead. Come on, man. You know, that's one of the names, that's one of the pet names that the social power elite on this planet call the rest of humanity. The Dead. So I don't like it anymore. I'm just pointing it out, man. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And I'm giving you my reasons for it. I've been for a long time here on my channel now, I've been using the phrase war, not war on consciousness, but consciousness hijacking. I mean, if you think I'm trying to find a nicer, prettier, more politically correct term, I don't think I say any more in that direction than is war on consciousness. I'm just staying away from the word war. I don't want to think like war. Although I do get spiritual battle, I do get mental battle, I do get the idea of a war going on. I just don't like the word. It sounds too bloody to me. And besides, consciousness hijacking, run in parallel with perception deception, another one of my terms. It seems to be much more definitive and descriptive of the actual thing to which the phrase war on consciousness at least attempts to point. So, and you know, now I'm adding death to that. When I think of Swami Sri Yukteswar, for example, dying, it just doesn't even seem to fit. You know? Now, I'm not saying, Yukteswar lives like Hitler lives or Elvis lives. No. Not the kind of thing I mean. I'm not going to go into it any further than that. I just want you to see if you can connect. You see, for yourself, whether you can connect with my thinking here and with the general spirit of my thinking here and my resolving just a few minutes ago. I don't like that word anymore. You know, I don't even see where it fits in anything, really. Things disintegrate. Things change states. Things change. But life pervades all. One way or another, one degree or another, some form or another, one phase or another, it's ever present. And the way people normally mean death, you know, a better term for that, a more fitting, a more descriptive, a more factual, a more in correspondence with reality name for what people are usually talking about when they say somebody died. I know it's a nice, easy term because it's one word. But it carries a lot of misunderstandings with it. And it always makes us think of grieving and the great unknown. And women wearing, you know, having a black veil covering their face. And funerals and funeral directors. And morbidity. Here, how about life force withdrawn from the physical body such that the physical organ disintegrates, so that its cellular and atomic structure disintegrates, no longer being held together by the will inherent in the life force that held it together. But life does not leave the parts that it breaks down into. The breakdown stops when it gets to the level at which the life force is still there. That's just physical tissue. Other bandwidths of conscious substance in motion and that involve that person's life, they're not breaking down like that. Not in that sense. No. And people are talking about this biological thing that's occurring as, like that's it. The guy died. Well, there's more to the guy. He died. The only thing that really has happened is life force is withdrawn from the organism, and the organism is now its component parts, its elements, will disintegrate down to their original form, which involves life and will and all of that, and then reorganize. That's what took place. Now, if you want to call that death, okay, fine. But death carries a lot more connotations than does what I just said. And I don't like the word death because those connotations they don't feel good. They don't feel good. They have a morbidity to them. And they carry, they impose upon a person's awareness and consciousness and cognitive processes some things that just aren't true. I don't like it. See if you can adopt that, I think, somewhat constructively evolved perspective on this. And if this is the way you thought about it all along yourself, maybe you can stop thinking in terms of the word death and dying yourself. Because it does have a negative. If you have an advanced awareness of what people mean when they call death, a lot more along the lines of what I'm talking about, or even more advanced than that, then why bog yourself down with the darn word? I mean, there comes a point at which it just doesn't work for you anymore. Perhaps dropping the word from your mental vocabulary, if not your oral vocabulary, your written, your verbal vocabulary, but your mental vocabulary, your psycholinguistic lexicon can assist in moving toward an evolved understanding of what's really going on with the life cycle. It can work both ways. Death, you say? There is no death, only a change of worlds. Chief Seattle. You like the video? Thumb up. Didn't like it? Other thumb up. Subscribe. Notification bell. Share. See ya.